5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the show, people. Welcome to the show.
Eat my shorts.
So here is to conversation.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
All right, welcome to the Cash Exchange.
What up?
Okay, so I have a little bit non-traditional of a starter for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a list in order. I want you to tell me what this is a list of.
Okay.
All right, so it's going to be The Simpsons, South Park, Arthur, and Family Guy.
Timeless animations.
They are timeless
Animation
animations.
shows. Arthur?
Yeah.
Ugh,
What do you have against Arthur?
it's creepy drawings and just altogether, it's unsettling. Have you ever seen the episode of Arthur that Lance Armstrong was on?
Was he one of the actual humans?
Yes. It was
Those
creepy as hell.
make me really uncomfy. Yeah, no, I didn't realize that Arthur was going to crack the third space in this list. But this list, do you have any more specific guesses as to what that order is?
The most profitable animated TV series is.
Again, with Arthur, that one's on PBS, so I don't think they make a whole lot of money from it.
Most episodes. Longest running.
Longest running animated shows in the U.S. And
I wouldn't have thought that. Didn't they cancel Arthur a couple years ago?
yeah,
But now they do specials.
I didn't know they still did specials, but it ended in
think they do.
2022.
Good riddance is what I say.
Whoa. DW was an icon. I will not have this slander. So today's episode is a deep dive into number 5.
Numero cinco.
Numero cinco. Now, before I kick this off, I do have one question for you.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain.
I can't hear you.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Okay. So if you haven't guessed by now, today's episode is about SpongeBob SquarePants, a show that is as old as me. Its first episode aired in May of '99. So the show is.
So you only got beat by 4 months.
This show is going on its 26th year.
And now, what do they do now? Because I know it's not regular. It's not regularly scheduled now. Is it just specials now?
So they still do episodes, but I think they've focused a lot less on the original IP, and they've switched it to all of the spin-offs and the movies and stuff that they have in the works.
Which have exploded.
It's crazy.
Spin-off on spin-off.
So the total runtime essentially of all of the SpongeBob stuff, or the collection that they have now. The show itself is 331 episodes to date.
But that's not full 30-minute episodes. That's the half episode segments.
No, I think it's the whole thing.
That's the
I think
whole
it's
thing?
the full 30-minute episodes.
So they have 600 and something vignettes.
I think so. Actually, now that you mention that, I will need to double check that. I think it's 331 actual whole time slottable episodes.
Okay.
I might be wrong. We need Jamie for this one. But it includes not only those 331 episodes, but also the spin-offs, including Camp Coral and a Twilight Zone parody, which is a super bizarre choice and just very on brand for what Paramount Plus, I think, was going for.
It's just throw everything. They've done the Twilight Zone. They've done NFL. They've done the weird VH1 behind the music stuff. They've been all over the place. They are beating the hell out of that IP.
They did Behind the Music, the DocuPant series?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, they have gone very hard into the SpongeBob thing, which, kind of makes sense, because it is, I would argue, a show that shaped at least 2 generations.
Yes.
Although our dad is a bigger fan of SpongeBob, I think, than either of us were.
I think so. If there's a lull, he's usually putting on something like SpongeBob on his phone, or whenever he's with his grandkids, he'll put SpongeBob on his phone, sitting on the couch, or it'll be like some obscure old ass episode of like Tom and Jerry, Mighty Mouse, something like that.
It's time to put the Mighty Mouse in the White House. So on top of all of the spin-offs and all of the weird things that Paramount Plus has done with SpongeBob in the last couple of years, there's also soon to be a 5th movie. I will say, I tried to do a lot of research in this, but in the time frame that I had to kind of study up on SpongeBob, I did not make the time and effort to watch the back 3 or the back 2. So I've seen Sponge Out of Water, which love that it includes Keanu. That's about it. And then I watched the first one, which is iconic. No notes.
So what was the second one?
So the second one, I forget what exactly the plot is, but I think someone on the mainland gets the Krabby Patty secret formula, and so all of them turn into like these bodybuilders, and it's really uncomfortable because everyone's got like 8-pack abs, and that's not even the worst, I would argue, design for that movie, because the Plankton version has this bodybuilder build, but also just has the Plankton head. It is awful, terrible to look at. It was a whole movie that got greenlit, and it feels like a thirst trap for
very sick
an
people.
aquatic kids show. Yeah, terrible.
Now, I will say that I'm a little biased, but our entire family loved the Sandy Cheeks movie.
I need to watch it, but I really hate that animation style.
Yeah.
I don't like the weird like 3D CGI stuff.
Yeah, it was good though. Had Johnny Knoxville in it.
Johnny Knoxville in it?
Yeah, he was one of her brothers.
Interesting. Okay.
It's good. And then they're making their way down to a ocean lab in Galveston.
Okay.
And just so you know, for all you non-Texans, the geography in that movie does not make sense, and it is not accurate. So if you think you're gonna use that as a basis to travel Texas, I would suggest against it.
Okay, but since when do we believe in SpongeBob's take on Texas? They have bullied Texas since the first season.
I mean, but in the end, Sandy is able to prove why she loves Texas so much, and that how great it truly is.
It's fair, but it doesn't mean that they didn't spend the whole episode. Oh man, I want the little dolphin noise to censor this. Talking crap about Texas.
What is it? There's a line where SpongeBob says, "Hey Patrick, what am I?"
I don't know, stupid.
No, I'm Texas. What's the difference? Hey, did Connecticut get a shout out on SpongeBob? An entire episode? Is there an episode of SpongeBob called Connecticut?
Can you tell me anything about the state of Connecticut in
What
general?
about New Hampshire? White people, I can tell you that.
Yeah? That's...
White lesbians that love foliage.
Is that Connecticut? That feels very Vermont.
It's all the same up there. It's all
Wow.
It's all lesbians with their double handling, 2 hands on their cup of tea, just watching the leaves fall.
I want to be in a place in my life where I can 2-hand a mug of tea and watch the leaves fall.
Well, you just need a couple more cats.
Hey.
You're on your way. She's on her way. Hey.
Anyway.
Your name. Did you know that? Did you know that's what your name means?
I need the cricket sound back.
Well, too bad.
Yes, I did know.
I'm sure you can do something with that. I'm doing so well that you could play my leg, because I'm breaking a leg out here. So, whenever you're ready.
No. I won't.
Okay.
Also, I don't know which button it is.
You got to look at the labels. See what I mean? It's a flawed system.
Where are the labels?
You see where the pads are? Right there. You see where the pads are pictured?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's the one above it, not the one below it. I always think it's the one below it.
Oh, oops.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so this show has had a stranglehold on millennials and Gen Z. It definitely had a stranglehold on like my household until recently, but
Yes.
does it have one on yours? Like, is your significant other also randomly quoting SpongeBob?
Oh, no. 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 My kids do.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Really?
I've trained them well. But as well as the Sig Oath, as I call her, no.
For the record, do not support Sig Oath.
Why not?
I feel like you could have used SO. I feel like SO is a better way to shorten that.
There's not enough punch to that one. That's just so-so.
Sig Oath.
Sig Oath is better.
Did she watch SpongeBob growing up?
I don't think so. We have very different opinions on what should be on the television.
Okay.
I don't think SpongeBob was really up her alley. Neither was The Simpsons. South Park was because of her brother.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't think SpongeBob was a heavy hitter in their household.
I will say that I think that our childhoods were a lot more shaped by animation than the majority. I don't know if that's 100% true because
Shout out to my latchkeys.
yeah, I don't know that that's 100% true, but I also know that we have watched an probably unhealthy amount of animated TV.
Oh, without a doubt. But hey, are we better for it? That stands to be determined.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe. I do think that a lot of my humor is shaped by shows like SpongeBob.
Oh, I quote it in my daily life all the time.
Yeah. What quotes? Like, what do you quote often?
Why don't you hit that top button?
Sounds like a lot of...
I use that one a lot.
Whenever I'm making a sandwich, is mayonnaise an instrument?
Okay.
Goodbye, everyone. I'll remember you all in therapy.
I think of that one a lot.
East? I thought you said weast.
You know, for a person who makes as many wrong turns as I do, I should really use that one more often.
You don't take that as like an affront? That's not offensive to you?
I'm aware of my limitations.
Or anytime anything starts with a W, I automatically think of wumbo. I wumbo, you wumbo, he, she, we, wumbo. Wombology, the study of wumbo?
I missed an opportunity with my major. I could have studied wombology.
You could have. And you
It's
could
a shame.
you could be on the cutting edge
Of
of wombology. Another one, just whenever I'm frustrated or I just want to annoy someone, just a little. Oh.
That quote is on the same level to me as like the annoying goat screaming thing
Yeah.
that your daughter got for Christmas.
Son.
That your son got for
Son.
Christmas.
Yeah, daughter's the one that abuses it, but
Oh.
it's technically his.
Regardless, that's on the same playing field as the same level of annoyance. I
Oh,
don't
it
like
is.
that one.
It is. And it's a tool to keep in your back pocket
Yeah.
for whenever you just want someone to stop talking.
You interrupt.
When there's certain people in our lives that want to talk about politics, a little.
That's genius. Okay, so I might be coming around on that one.
And then one of my better quotes that can be used in the constant battle that is parenting is "Liar, liar, plants for hire."
I don't know that one. I don't think I know where that one's from.
Patrick says it, and then SpongeBob says it's pants for high, or it's pants on fire. And then Patrick said, "You would know, liar." My entire childhood just flooding back to me right now.
Yeah. It is genuinely insane to me how like SpongeBob is interwoven into our lives. Because in looking into this episode, like I don't think I watched SpongeBob on purpose for years. But as soon as I was like watching back over some of the stuff, I realized just how much I like quote it.
Yeah.
I don't use a lot of the ones that you have, but my favorite ones are you ready, kids? Every time I leave my house.
To yourself?
If I'm in other people's company.
Okay,
And I will be disappointed if I don't get an II Cap'n. Whenever I went to Massachusetts, I took a picture of Plymouth Rock, which, for the record, super disappointing.
Plymouth Pebble.
It's just a boulder. Or actually, it's not a boulder. It's a rock. A rock. And the Goofy Goober song, it plays in my head, rent-free, just way too often.
Which version?
Which version?
Yeah. Is it the Weenie Hut Jr. or is it the...
No, the wizard SpongeBob at the end of the movie.
Goofy Goober Rock?
I'm a Goofy Goober Rock. I think about it a lot.
See, I think that's where we differ because I'm
a Goofy Goober.
You're a Goofy Goober, yeah. We're all goofy goobers, yeah. And then I have my kids, especially the youngest. She'll do something. She's like, I'm being a real goober right now. And it makes me so proud. I love it.
That is A+ parenting. So I was looking at kind of how we ended up with SpongeBob as this kind of like cultural touchstone. Because there were a lot of other shows and stuff that came out, I think, in the same time that didn't have the same like staying power.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching a deep dive on YouTube on its cultural impact, which is by Luis? I don't know. But there's a video on YouTube, and it's talking about how SpongeBob got so big and stayed so long because it kind of came of age when the internet did. And so it just had sense. All of this basis for like being on the forefront of internet culture and the people who were raised with the internet, so millennials and Gen Z, use that to their advantage. And that's why there is a billion SpongeBob memes. I have a shirt that has all of them. Also, I didn't realize how much SpongeBob clothing I own or how many like SpongeBob things. I'm in a SpongeBob hoodie if you're not watching the video right now.
I had a yellow shirt, just yellow, which is not a flattering color on a little chubby fifth grader.
I thought this was going to be present day.
You kind of look like a rubber duck. But it had SpongeBob's face on the front. Mm-hmm. And then on the back, it said SpongeBob nudie pants.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
This is a shirt for children. Yeah. Which, I mean, he wasn't wearing clothes, but he doesn't have any genitals. So I don't see what the real issue is besides the word nudie pants.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got pulled aside by my prude of a fifth grade teacher. Hey, yeah, maybe let's not wear that shirt to school again. Maybe
she was just trying to save you from wearing the color yellow. It doesn't look good on anyone.
Maybe. That's possible, I guess. Miss, I don't know. She was also the teacher that made us send home permission slips so we could watch Romeo and Juliet.
Is that weird?
Is what weird?
That you had to send out a permission slip for Romeo and Juliet?
Oh, I just think it was weird that fifth graders were seeing some tea towels on the television. Oh. But then we also read The Giver, which also has some scenes that are a little much for some fifth grade boys to handle.
I don't think I read that one. I think that's one of the things that's theoretically getting banned, so I probably should before it's gone.
You probably should. So another important aspect of SpongeBob is the music. And we've touched on some of it already, but do you have a list of your top songs from SpongeBob?
So my number one, and this is entirely based on the fact that I learned to play it on the ukulele, is the Grass Skirt Chase. It is one of the things I'm proudest of in terms of playing the ukulele. Fun is a great song.
It is.
To a point. All of these are to a point. The campfire song is not my favorite. The ripped pants song, 10 out of 10.
The campfire song has the ability to overstay its welcome after the first play.
Yes.
But if you are in the presence of children, you're probably not going to get away with just one play.
You won't.
Ripped pants, kids think that's the funniest thing ever. And I agree.
It is.
I agree. Goofy Goober song. Fun song. Yeah, I mean, you got all of them, except for you didn't mention a song that wasn't original to SpongeBob, but SpongeBob definitely threw it up into the stratosphere.
Sweet Victory?
Sweet Victory.
That was one of the things I also wanted to touch on in this episode, that Sweet Victory, the halftime show, incredible episode. It did not scratch my top 5, but that is for no lack of quality. But whenever Stephen Hillenburg died, there was a change.org petition to get Sweet Victory played at the Super Bowl halftime show. It got 1.2 million signatures.
As it should.
As it should, absolutely. And so whenever we were like coming up on the Super Bowl, Adam Levine, because if this is any frame of reference for the time period, Maroon 5 was playing the Super Bowl halftime show. Adam Levine posted a video and SpongeBob was in the background.
Was this before or after he wanted to name his child after his mistress?
This was before I was going to quote the tweets or whatever it was, the DMs, and I can't remember what they were, thankfully. But yeah, so he posted about it, and so people lost their minds. They were like, oh, okay, so we're going to do this great tribute to Stephen Hillenburg, and he is going to get the kind of send-off that he deserves. And then the Super Bowl comes around, and if you are not familiar with the episode of SpongeBob, this is probably not the episode for you. The podcast episode.
I don't know how you could know anything about SpongeBob and not know about Sweet Victory.
If you consider our current viewership base of members of our family, it's very possible.
No.
No?
Not mine. No.
One of us adopted? What do you mean, not yours?
What do you mean?
I mean, our listenership right now is the members of our family who wouldn't have watched SpongeBob.
Okay, but they've all seen. They would. The little ones would definitely know what Sweet Victory is.
I'm not talking about the little ones.
Okay, well, don't downplay my family. They're part of my family. They're part of your family.
They are. Do they listen to the podcast?
You jerk.
I'm talking about the ones who actively listen to the podcast. Do your children listen to the podcast?
Yes, and that is not because of me.
No?
No, it's because of decisions made outside of my control. But you know what? Hey, guys. All three of you. Love you. There we go. They got their shout out.
Yeah. I am not trying to downplay the legitimacy of the younger members of our family. I'm just saying if they're choosing to listen to things.
And what about our listener in Botswana? That always pops up whenever we post a new episode.
You know, whoever's at that internet cafe.
And Guinea-Bissau.
Shout out to them.
We're big in Africa.
Are we now?
Yeah, apparently.
We're trying to be Bono.
According to the analytics, we're big in Africa.
That's gracious.
That's going to be our first shirt. It's going to be us and then AIDS.
Anyway, so if you are not familiar, in the episode, what is it, Band Geeks?
Yes.
In the episode Band Geeks, they do this like lead up to the actual song. And so it's Squidward and SpongeBob doing like this little introduction thing. And so they do the introduction and then it cuts to Maroon 5 doing their whole thing, which felt very much circling back to present day, like the Better Man biopic or whatever, where he's like, for the next 2 hours, your ass is mine. And then it just plays the gentlest of pop songs.
I got the moonlight dagger. I got the moonlight dagger. I got the moonlight dagger.
Adam Levine looking like a Chipotle bag.
Hey, if you get the opportunity, anyone out there, look up the Adam Levine skit where he fights Train. It's an SNL skit where Maroon 5 fights Train
All right. Well, I know what we're watching after this.
for wuss rock domination.
I've never heard a more accurate description of Maroon 5 than wuss rock. Anyway, so people were not happy because they had teased this, like...
As they should not be.
Absolutely. Because they teased the Super Bowl performance and it was like 10 seconds, maybe.
Do you think that had any effect on the Great Flush?
The what?
You know what the Great Flush is? That's the thing. I'm not making it up. This is an actual thing.
Yeah, what
this is
the
a
Great
thing
Flush?
that engineers take into consideration.
Yeah.
It is the start of halftime during the Super Bowl. Everyone goes to the bathroom and is flushing at the same time, and it puts a huge strain on our plumbing system. And I'm not kidding. This is a thing. Look it up. The Super Bowl Great Flush.
I won't, and I do not believe you.
It is. I'll look it up right now.
That's fine. So while you're figuring this thing out, people were upset about the Super Bowl, and the heroes of this story are the Dallas Stars. Go home team. During their, I want to say it was a playoff game, for their halftime show, they did the whole performance of Sweet Victory and redeemed the tribute to Steven Hillenburg. R.I.P.
Okay, here we go. Are you ready?
What do you got?
From Times Herald Online. This was written by Matthias Gaffney. It was last updated August 30th, 2018.
What kind of name is Matthias Gaffney?
A very reputable one, actually.
Sure. Okay.
Yada, yada, yada. No other man-made event, not the World Series, an American Idol episode, nor the Olympics causes such an increase, said Tyrone Jew? J-U-E, how would you spell that?
Jew.
Sounds okay. I don't know why you're passing judgment on this man you don't know, but for the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, the Super Bowl is the one time that happens.
Yeah.
In the wastewater industry, that's a known fact that wastewater goes up in that window, and it is known as the Great Flush.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Now that that's settled, back on the topic of Steven Hillenburg. Actually, do you have any other fun Super Bowl facts you want to throw at me? Anything you want to contribute to Sweet Victory? Do you want to give us a full rendition?
Not for free. No, that'll be on our Patreon.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'll track down one of my high school marching band outfits, uniforms.
Do you still own
Full
those?
plume. No.
Full plume. Really?
But I could get a very good looking knockoff.
I went thrift shopping the other day and I found someone's like whole high school and middle school career worth of band recordings. And I'm very curious if that was like the person who had graduated and wanted to distance themselves reasonably from being in middle school and high school band, or if it was a parent that was just like,
You want some advice?
what?
If you have even, I don't know, the smallest amount of Riz, you got that Riz on you,
Ugh.
join band. Because it is like a fish in a barrel. The dudes in band are freaking nerds. But there's some hot ladies.
How long were you in band?
7th through 10th grade. I stayed long enough to go on the Disney World trip.
Yeah.
And then after that, I decided that I had other priorities.
Being a jock.
No, because I quit football too.
Oh.
No, my priorities were just, being a upstanding citizen, outstanding student, taking care of the less fortunate in my community,
Sure, yeah.
and honestly, just band and football just didn't jive with that direction that my life was heading.
That's
So,
impressive.
thank you. Thank you. It is. It is. And I need to take the time to recognize that. So, I appreciate you giving me that opportunity.
Yeah.
For you seeing me and allowing me to feel this about myself. Thank you.
Marishka Hargitay.
Mariska Hargitay.
How long are you going to be eating? My God.
If I had a nickel. Eey. No. I didn't mean that in any kind of obscene way.
I didn't think you did.
Okay, but you looked at me. Maybe I did. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because how often has that been said in any context?
I've lived a full life, man. Full life.
Yeah, you were a band nerd and a jock, and then you were an upstanding citizen.
Yep. And then
And now we're here.
just couple other minor things sprinkled in between. But yeah, that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you fat shaming the cat with the pooch?
I am not fat shaming her. I just need her to pick a better time to be doing that.
So, what are your favorite side characters for SpongeBob?
My favorite side characters.
I mean, would you consider Mr. Krabs as part of the main cast?
He's not on my shirt.
So that's the main cast?
I think so.
Okay.
Crazy that Plankton and Gary made it, but not Mr. Krabs.
They just didn't have room. So you got Mr. Krabs, you got Pearl, Larry the Lobster, Fred the Fish, who's the one that says my leg, and then play my other favorite.
Pretty girl.
Nope, that's not it.
What is your... Oh, Hoopla?
No, this guy stinks.
I don't have that.
Huh?
I don't have that one.
You didn't put that on there?
I did not.
Oh, we were going to talk about this in the production meeting after.
Yeah? Are we? Okay.
I'm just asking you to be professional. That's all I'm asking for.
We're recording a podcast episode on SpongeBob that we had to pause for because the cat was... Maybe lower your standards a little.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's whatever.
My favorite side characters, Kevin is up there. The sea cucumber.
Doodle Bob?
Doodle Bob. Very much so.
Pearl?
Perch Perkins. I don't really care for Pearl.
No, me either. Mrs. Puff?
I'm not a big fan of Mrs. Puff either.
Flats the Flounder?
I do like Flats and Bubble Bass.
Bubble Bass? My all-time favorite character. He's more of a cameo than a secondary character or a side character.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the man known as Smitty Warbin Jagerman Jensen.
Is he your favorite because he was number one?
He was number one.
And I'm never going to let anyone forget that. I'm going to keep his memory alive of being number one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You gonna get him immortalized as a tattoo?
Oh, one day.
Yeah.
One day. I got to get my Millhouse first.
I'm working on it. Yeah, no. I'm a... Ooh, Squilliam. I'm a fan
Squilliam
of Squilliam
Fancy
Fancy
Son?
Son.
Oh, he's a good one. He's a good one. He really rocks that. You call it a unibrow or a monobrow?
Unibrow.
Have you ever heard the term monobrow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I have used that term in my life and gotten a lot of side looks like I'm just crazy because that's not what it is, but it definitely is. We grew up around enough
what?
Enough people who, if they chose to, could be considered of Indian descent or Bangladeshi. And so I think I am able to make the call that it can be either monobrow or unibrow because I've seen enough of them in my lifetime.
That's disappointing. There's not actually a difference between them.
Nice.
I thought there would be like one of them is this shape and one of them is this shape. One of them's like a couple of hairs in the middle and the other one's just a full brow. But no. Yeah, no. I think that's all of my favorite of the side characters. I did not know that the My Leg guy's name was Fred.
Fred the fish.
Dennis, the member of the Village People that's in the SpongeBob movie. Alec Baldwin.
What about the Hoff?
I did like the Hoff in that specific instance, but based on what else I know about the Hoff, not my favorite.
You don't like cheeseburger on the floor, Hoff?
Not particularly,
That's
no.
one of my favorites.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It was a chronically online back in the earlier days of the internet mentality.
What about conspiracies? What SpongeBob conspiracies do you have for me?
So there's the one that every animated show at least has gotten, which is one of these people is real and the rest of them are hallucinations, or they're all some kind of like mental illness. That Patrick's ADHD and SpongeBob is OCD, something like that.
The 7 Deadly Sins?
Yes, that kind of thing. Every show gets the 7 Deadly Sins treatment.
How would you place them?
As far as 7 Deadly Sins,
Yes.
you get Mr. Krabs' greed, obviously.
Obviously. Mm-hmm.
Patrick is, was he sloth or gluttony? Plankton is envy.
Mm-hmm.
Squidward is pride.
Wrath.
Wrath.
Sandy is pride.
Sandy's pride. Okay.
And SpongeBob is lust. Just because of
Why?
how much he obsesses over everything. Like everything has to take his entire attention. And then for gluttony, Gary.
Yeah, I don't agree with that
You don't agree
lineup,
with this?
but sure.
Well, this is what I found on the internet, and everyone knows everything on the internet's completely true. So I didn't completely
Everything.
agree with the lust and SpongeBob, but it's kind of like in Gilligan's Island, how there's the skipper, Marianne,
Ginger, the
Ginger.
professor, the billionaire, and his wife.
Yeah, so in a lot of those about Gilligan's Island is about the 7 Deadly Sins. One of them double dips, and then it's Gilligan that is the devil running the show, keeping him on the island.
I will say, in the terms of that specific kind of theory where it's the 7 Deadly Sins, I could agree with the Gilligan's Island and the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory ones. I think that those make sense as the 7 Deadly Sins. I think it's stupid whenever it's like SpongeBob, or I think Winnie the Pooh was one of them. Or that might have been that one might have been mental illnesses.
I think Winnie the Pooh is mental illness. It's like Tigger is ADHD and Eeyore's depression. Yeah, and our mom's favorite is Eeyore for some strange reason.
She likes an underdog.
What about the fact that they're all mutated freaks because of all the nuclear testing that we've done at the Bikini Atoll?
I fully stand behind this one.
Yeah? You think it's true?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially because Hillenberg was a marine biologist.
Yeah.
And so I think if there was going to be some kind of basis to the conspiracy theories that there are about SpongeBob, it would be that one. That there are genuinely mutated things in the Bikini Atoll because it was our nuclear testing site.
I was actually watching a video yesterday. Couldn't tell you the creator. Yeah, I can. Y-Files. It's Y-Files.
Yeah.
And they were talking about all the places that they have done all these nuclear tests, and life is thriving there. Like fish, coral, all this stuff is... But then they're also kind of mutated.
Okay.
That's worth looking into.
I mean, I think the forests of Chernobyl are also kind of thriving, but not with anything I'd want to be around.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's the world's a funny place, you know?
Yeah.
What about the theory that SpongeBob is a tampon? A sponge that lives in a bikini bottom. His best friend is a starfish. Also hangs around with sandy cheeks.
I have no comment on this one.
I mean...
Did you get that from iFunny? Where is this conspiracy theory from?
I mean, I've known about this one since forever.
Yeah.
I don't know where it originally came from. But doesn't it... It's all adding up. And then this lady needs to be checked out because she also has crabs.
Uh-huh.
So... You're giving this theory no validity.
I am giving that theory no validity.
After everything that I have laid out before you, you're just going to tell me no?
I will accept 7 deadly sins way before I accept SpongeBob as a tampon.
Would you prefer Diva Cup?
I don't think he's made of the right material to be a Diva Cup.
Oh, man. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to say it. And I don't care who disagrees with me, but I just feel like it's something that needs to be said.
Yeah.
SpongeBob's a pretty great show.
It is. It really is.
I definitely
Not so much now.
I don't think it's just a matter of I was a kid, so I just look back at nostalgically. Mm-hmm. But I do think that the older stuff is better than the new stuff. I think they started running out of ideas and then got a little crazy. Plus, then they started adding all these silly characters that I didn't care for.
Yeah.
Like the after the movie when they started adding the mermaids and Poseidon and all that.
Quick circle back. Favorite side character. I completely skipped my top 3. Flying Dutchman, Mermaid Man, and Barnacle Boy. Sorry, I needed to interject that. It was going to bother me.
I didn't even think about the Flying Dutchman. That's a good one, but I'm still going with Smitty Warbit and Jagerman Jensen.
That's fair. Yeah, when it comes to... I haven't seen a lot of the new shows, so I don't know how much they've actually involved, like mermaids and all of that kind of stuff. But one of the kind of through lines that I found in watching it was that it had the same kind of Flanderization that all of the animated shows eventually get. That, like...
Everyone says, hi, diddly ho.
Something like that, yeah. So, Flanderization...
Like I'm wearing nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Man, I love stupid, sexy Flanders. So Flanderization is essentially like the process of dumbing a character down into just this one caricaturistic trait. Mm-hmm. So whenever Ned Flanders was first on The Simpsons, he was this like well-rounded, he was a churchy guy, but he wasn't just religion. He was a whole person who just happened to very strongly believe in his faith.
He was secretly old as hell and ripped.
Yeah, stupid, sexy Flanders. But as time went on, when people started liking certain aspects of him, they ended up just kind of paring him down into this widower who was just aggressively religious, and that was just
twice
kind
over. A widower twice over.
Twice over, yeah, well. Do you think that him and Krabappel would have lasted had Marsha Wallace
I think so.
around?
I think that they were a yin and yang.
Yeah. But yeah, so Flanderization is a thing that happens to a lot of shows where you just kind of like lean into this one characteristic and that just becomes the whole person. Like Stewie Griffin being gay. Like that's just all he is now. He's not all world destruction and all of that.
Closeted. Or does he act...
What part of him is closeted?
Does he admit it?
There's an episode where they go to Vegas and he hires an escort as a person named Archibald Meatpants.
That sounds like a Moneybags Big Wiener type of situation.
It is very much a Moneybags Big Wiener situation. See, this is why I hope that your kids don't listen to this show. But yeah, so in a lot of ways, SpongeBob got the same treatment where a lot of their characters just became this like one trait. SpongeBob became a goofball. Patrick was the idiot. Mr. Krabs was just all greed. Plankton was just all envy. All of that kind of stuff. And it's just gotten a lot weaker because there's not well-rounded people anymore.
Like early on, SpongeBob was very driven. Like he wanted to be employee of the month. He wanted to be able to pass his driving test. He wanted to do all these things, but just his personality got in the way. Mm-hmm. But now it's just, what's the stupidest thing we can come up with for him to do?
Yeah.
To kill 30 minutes.
Yeah, and so I don't know. It's kind of a thought process that I've had with a lot of shows and stuff that I'll like circle back to eventually. That I don't know if the shows themselves are getting worse because of that kind of flanderization, or if I'm just stuck in this like nostalgia loop of like I was raised on first couple seasons of SpongeBob, and so those are the ones that are near and dear to me. The deviation from that, the new age SpongeBob, just doesn't feel the same to me, and so I don't have those kind of like emotional ties, and so I don't know if that's what's happening, or if the quality has actually just gone down. Although I will say that I'm not a fan of the current animation style. I don't like what they've done with the 2D SpongeBob or any of the spin-offs.
What about the 2D that you don't like? Just like that it's so much brighter?
It feels lazy. So in the same... circling back to another animated show, in the same like Family Guy way that like Family Guy came out in 97, and then they've kind of like altered their style as time went on. But after Family Guy got really big, every animated show you see on Fox that comes out now looks like Family Guy.
Yeah, I remember the first episode of Family Guy where they decided to go computer generated instead of, I don't know if it was fully hand drawn or whatever, but like they were able to do like these big pan shots of it's the Clue ripoff episode.
And then there were fewer, yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember like, I mean, this is cool, but this is just not what I have been, I don't know, conditioned to like.
Yeah. I think my problem with like the new age version of animation in the like Seth MacFarlane style or the SpongeBob style, or honestly anything that comes out these days, is that it feels soulless. It feels like a content machine that, like, if you think back to like the 90s cartoons, Ed, Ed and Eddie, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, all of that kind of stuff, like all of these animation styles were so vastly different, even though they were probably made with the same process. But now it's just, it feels like it's the exact same thing done in 15 slightly different ways.
Yeah.
It feels like there's not artistry behind it anymore.
No,
and it's just a content machine.
It all comes down to whose voices you like better.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and especially whenever they started doing all these crossover episodes with The Simpsons and Family Guy and all this other stuff. I will say that not even that, South Park stood out from the beginning because that was a completely unique compared to anything that was on TV at the time. But even now, they try to chase the same style, but it's all digital.
Yeah.
And so it kind of lost that soul. But then they chose to do that because they wanted to be able to churn out these episodes fast enough to where they could stay topical and stay relevant. And I think that they've done a very good job at that. Whereas episodes like The Simpsons or Family Guy, they have to write the episodes here. They have to give a storyboard, send it over to, I think it's Taiwan, and then it's all animated there, and then it comes back. And the whole thing is like a 6-month process. And so by the time it actually gets to air, it's such a dated episode, or it's such a dated topic, or the content is so dated that there's no way you could keep up with someone like the Simpsons, and that's because Trey Parker and Matt Stone have stuck to their guns about this is what this show is about, and this is how it's going to stay.
Yeah. I'm also not a fan when it comes to South Park of the specials.
Yeah.
That kind of felt like it was them falling into the same trap that a lot of the animation did.
Yeah.
Which I also understand that when you're beholden to a streaming service, your freedom is, I'm sure, pretty limited.
Yeah, I think that I've enjoyed most of the South Park specials. There's one that I did not like, and I think it might have been the COVID one or the Ozempic one.
Yeah.
I just didn't think that it was very good, and it felt like the story was completely pointless, and that it just didn't feel like a South Park property.
Yeah.
And so, especially when you find out that the show gets delayed because they're under contract for all these specials that they have to do. And it kind of gets frustrating when you've been a fan for so long that their attention is being taken away from the thing that made them what they are, and everything is diminished in the process.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the problem that I have with a lot of animation these days, is that everyone has just gone so far about what made them great to begin with.
Yeah.
That we've just been so focused on getting things out that it's lost all of its heart.
Mm-hmm. But that's enough about our soapbox. We're not going to change anything. The world is still going to turn tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, and SpongeBob is still going to be the same. South Park's going to be the same. But you know what? We can still reminisce about what was.
That could have been an opportunity for a SpongeBob quote. And the next day.
And the next day. And the next day. So speaking of nostalgia, what are your top 5?
My top 5, okay. Sleepy Time.
Can I get a brief synopsis, please?
So Sleepy Time is where SpongeBob ends up in everyone's dreams. That one is one of my favorites, especially because of Librarian Gary. Fry Cook Games.
That's a classic.
That one's definitely one of my favorites. Pizza Delivery, partially because it is one of the originals and because it is one that I quote every time there's a strong breeze. Anytime I have to walk against the wind, I think of the Pizza Delivery episode.
Do you sing the song to yourself?
Not always to myself, but yes. Texas had to be on the list.
Of course.
And Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 3, which is the episode where SpongeBob and Patrick have to watch over the Mermalair, and they get tricked into thawing Man Ray from his tartar sauce prison. And so they're trying to teach Man Ray how to be good. And they send him to the bank and get him, he's like trying to rob it, and he ends up getting checks with little baby chicks on it. It's the best.
My top 5. 1 Crab's Trash.
He was number 1.
The episode of Smitty Warben Jaegerman Jensen. So that's definitely number 1 for me.
Okay.
Number 2, Krusty Krab training video.
Yeah.
Which contains one of our all-time favorite lines.
Sounds like a lot of...
Sounds like a
Aw,
lot
man.
of...
I thought it was just the hoopla.
Dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, dum, 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 da-da-dum, da-da-dum, dum, 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 da-da-dum, da-da-dum, dum, 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 da-da-dum, da-da-dum, dum, 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 da-da-dum. The best. Well, the second best.
Yeah?
Number 3, Texas. I wish these first 2 didn't exist so that could be number 1, but this is the world we live in. I don't make the rules. Number 4, Sandy, SpongeBob, and the worm.
What kind of worm?
Well, he's big. He's pink. And he's hairy. The Alaskan Bull Worm.
I forgot about the Alaskan Bull Worm episode.
And when they're running from said Alaskan Bull Worm, Sandy asks SpongeBob to reach in his pockets to see if he has anything that can save them. And for whatever reason, he has a paper clip and some string. And he says, "Oh, this is perfect." And he fashions it into a necklace that has an S. He said, "This will be perfect so they can identify our bodies." S for SpongeBob or S for Sandy. And then Sandy, being the resourceful problem solver Texan that she is, takes it, fashions it into a lasso, and says, "S for save our skins." And you know what? Thanks to her Texan ingenuity, they survive a run-in with an Alaskan Bull Worm and live to fight another day.
Okay.
And then in the process, they lead the Alaskan Bull Worm off a cliff that happens to be where they moved New Bikini Bottom to and crushed the entire city. But you know what? They survived.
That's not her fault.
It's not. It's not. They should have trusted Sandy and her Texanness to get them out of this situation, but they didn't. So it's kind of on them. It's kind of their own fault. Yeah. And then number 5 is Idiot Box.
Imagination.
A classic.
So 2 honorable mentions that I wanted to add in here was the Pretty Patty episode. And I don't remember the actual name of it, but it's the Magic Conch Shell episode. That one's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, where they get lost in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magic conch shell, can I have something to eat? The conch has spoken.
Oh.
Okay.
If Squidward had just trusted in the conch, everything would have been fine.
Maybe that was a show with a broader message.
He has no faith. Was that the message?
I think so, yeah.
To have faith? Mm-hmm. George Michael preached it.
You gotta have faith.
The faith.
Okay. So do you think that this has a stronghold on the next generation too? Or
No.
did it die out with Gen Z?
I think it died out with Gen Z, and I think that it is it's going to be like a not cool thing because your parents liked it.
Okay.
Like how I don't think that Wham is very cool. They have some decent
I'm sorry.
songs.
Are you telling me that "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go" is not a banger?
Oh, it is. I don't seek it out. I can tell you that much.
Okay.
But our mother, at least, loved Wham.
Yeah.
Loves Wham. And I just think that it's one of those things like, this is so lame. And I think that's probably more based on the fact that it was something that our parents liked, and we just want to be contrarians, and we want to have our own identities, and we want to be our own people, which is fine.
Yeah.
And that's probably the reason that SpongeBob isn't in regular production now, because of that turn.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, did we really need more 22 episode seasons of SpongeBob? Probably not.
They went so hard with the first couple of seasons that I think that's going to coast for as long as people in our generations are doing things on the internet.
Yeah, because I'm never going to get tired of watching, like, the first 3 or 4 seasons of SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm. Bubble Stand, incredible episode.
Yeah. And there's a scene, there's an entire episode dedicated to SpongeBob bringing home a wild jellyfish and it throwing a rave in his house and kicking him out. And that was just, it doesn't make any sense, but it didn't need to. We were little lambs. This was pre 9/11. We didn't know the hardships that the world could bring to us.
Yeah.
We just wanted to see our jellyfish throwing a rave, having a great time.
And you know that if you were in an actual like nightclub and a DJ throws on the jellyfish rave,
Everyone's
People
losing
are
their
going
mind.
to lose their mind, yeah.
Yes, still. I mean, the people that would lose their mind probably aren't going to clubs as much anymore.
Probably not.
But I mean, you put it on at the grocery store, you're gonna have some broken hips.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a couple slipped discs.
Next time I go to the grocery store with my AirPods in, it's going to play the jellyfish rave on repeat. Okay, so if there's not a pull for SpongeBob in the new generation, what do you think is going to have that kind of cultural significance and that staying power? Because I don't have kids regularly in my presence, so I don't have a concept of like what impacts them on the day to day.
I would think that it is something that we have no interest in. It's probably going to be something that's like a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Bluey has some staying power, and Bluey has the same kind of grab to the kids as well as the adults that SpongeBob had, but it doesn't have the. I won't say it doesn't have, but it has much less innuendo and jokes that are strictly meant for the adults.
Yeah.
So I think that is probably closest, but I mean, as far as SpongeBob goes, SpongeBob had the appeal of a much broader range than Bluey.
Yeah.
Bluey's a great show, but at the end of the day, it's meant for kindergarten, first grade, that demographic.
Yeah, you mentioned whenever, I think it was like all of the kids and us hanging out that you would watch it like sometimes even without the kids.
I do. Yeah.
And like that's, I don't think I could get into a place where like I want to watch Bluey by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I were with kids, I'm sure I would enjoy it, but I've very much watched SpongeBob as an adult just for funsies.
I pass by videos on Bluey TikTok on their page.
You're on Bluey TikTok?
I sure am. And there's a segment of an episode where the girls are playing ping pong, but Bandit is the ball. And so they're running back and forth with their paddle, and he's running between them, and it's just good, wholesome fun.
Yeah.
And as a father, I would make that maybe like make the back and forth like 3 times, and I'd be winded, and then they would probably have to call somebody. So Bandit is the father that I aspire to be. And maybe that's why I watch it.
Aspiration.
Yeah.
I like Bandit from the episodes I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, you should definitely check it out. Sans Kids, because then you can really dig into it. You can get to the meat of the message, you know.
Yeah.
Really take in all the milieu.
Ugh. I guess. All right. So the last thing that I kind of wanted to touch on was back on the topic of Steven Hillenburg.
Okay.
So I fell into I think a pretty decent sized group of people that did not watch SpongeBob after Steven Hillenburg died. And granted, some of that was the fact that I was kind of older or too old for regular watching, but I stopped watching it because after Steven Hillenburg died, it came out that he was against the idea of a spinoff. And Nickelodeon essentially put out, I want to say it was at least Camp Coral, but maybe a different spinoff too, right after he died. The timing looked super, super suspicious that all of a sudden the guy who said, I don't want this is dead, and so they immediately do it.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know until researching for this episode was that Steven Hillenburg, that whole thing was taken out of context. That it was a thing that he said back, I want to say it was like the early aughts, where he originally wanted the show to end after the SpongeBob movie, the one with Hasselhoff. And the reason that he wanted it to end there was because he didn't want it to get watered down. He didn't want to dilute the story and turn it into this just like mindless cartoon. To which there is still merit to it having stopped there just because it has turned into a mindless cartoon. But,
Definitely, yeah.
but his thing was not, it was just like he couldn't see a spinoff. Not that he was against the idea, it was just not a thing that he had thought of because in his head it had ended after the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was against the show and against Nick and everything after he died because that felt just really gross.
You got QAnon'd.
Sure, I got QAnon'd. But now I know better. And knowing is half the battle.
Well, there you go. See? So, silver lining.
Yeah. The viewership took from what I saw, a pretty heavy hit after Hillenburg died. And I think a lot of that was that same conversation that he didn't want this to happen. And so a lot of people that were in the more social justice-y age were just upset and didn't want to contribute to something that felt skeezy.
Well, I mean, in the entire time that he was alive, he was pretty hands-on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like a Seth MacFarlane situation where he started doing other stuff and so he just gave the keys to someone else. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, all the spin-offs and stuff definitely reek of like corporate greed and just trying to wring out as much as you can from it. But I don't know. I mean, every now and then you'll get a genuinely good episode that has memorable things happen. But I don't know a single person that has that kind of effect on newer stuff. Like, if I can talk about SpongeBob to someone, it's going to be the old stuff. It's going to be somewhere around the original. It's definitely not past like season 5.
Mm-hmm. I would argue that like the kind of final nail in the coffin was the second movie, because I think that was such a heavy departure from what they had done before. And this is my own personal bias because, again, I absolutely hate the way that they did it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was their kind of turning point for the worse.
What if they had done the movie in the way of the time or the episode where they go above water, and it's just a sponge on a stick and a toy plastic crab?
I would love that.
And a stuffed squirrel.
They could have done the marionettes like they did with Potty the Parrot.
Oh, man.
Would have been creepy as hell, but it would have worked.
So what is something that you can take away in your life from SpongeBob? Something that you were able to gain from all your many hours of consumption that have made you a better person?
That have made me a better person.
Better is relative. If it's better to you, if you think it's cool just kicking puppies when you pass by them, then I guess that's your prerogative. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to extract the information.
The good thing that I've gotten from SpongeBob is that because of the social environment that I was raised in, I think that the quotes, being able to quote something so regularly for just nonsense, mundane things that happen in my everyday life. When there's a stiff breeze, I think of the Krusty Krab pizza song. I think that it adds a little bit of fun to just nothing situations in your life. And I think that's the best thing about that show.
And I think it kind of gives us a secret language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
it's a great connector.
Yeah. I think taking away something from it for me would be it was a bridge between me and our dad.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really have that much when growing up. Mm-hmm. But SpongeBob was always a connector that we did have. So anytime it was on TV, we could sit down and watch it and just have that time. All right. You got any final thoughts?
My final thing for today. Be the goofiest goober you can be.
That is fantastic. And I don't think that can be topped. So we'll see you next time.
See y'all later.